Good morning and welcome to the March 21st Finance Committee meeting of the California State Bar. As a reminder, this meeting is being recorded. And could I get Committee Coordinator Tenny Chan to call the roll so that we can establish a quorum?
Yes. Barahona?
Present.
Buenaventura?
Present.
Good?
Here.
Huser?
Here.
Soel?
Present.
Tony?
Present.
Trejo?
Present.
We have a quorum.
Very good. Next on the agenda is the call for public comment. State Bar staff will attempt to call members of the public in the order that they appear in the attendee pool. For those who are participating via Zoom, you should use the virtual raise your hand function. For those of you participating by phone, if you would press the *9 key, and that will enable you to enter the queue. For those that may be participating in sort of notice locations, we'll call on you as identified. And due to time restrictions, members of the public are limited to 3 minutes, and we do have a timer that will be used in that process, and you'll be given a 30-second sort of countdown. Tenny, do we have anybody from any member of the public that wishes to address the committee at this time?
Yes, we have Todd Hill.
Very good. Mr. Hill, you have 3 minutes.
Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to speak today. The whistleblower program presented by the State Bar ostensibly serves as a critical avenue for addressing misconduct within the legal profession. However, a closer examination reveals a troubling discrepancy between the program's stated aims and its practical outcomes. Notably, the allocation of spend of less than $15,000 to review 78 cases starkly illuminates the program's limitations, not merely in terms of resource allocation, but as a reflection of a broader issue of commitment and effectiveness. Its expenditure, modest in the context of legal operations, and significantly inadequate for thorough investigation, underscores a concerning reality. The sum, ostensibly allocated to uncover and address allegations of misconduct, pales in comparison to the gravity and potential complexity of the cases it purports to examine. This financial commitment, or lack thereof, suggests not just a logistical oversight, but hints at a deeper, more systemic reluctance to engage with the substantive issues at hand. Such an allocation reveals a program that operates more as a token gesture than as a genuine mechanism for reform. Understand, the stated hourly rate of the Departments of Justice that actually performs the reviews is $225 per hour for 78 cases that are accordingly responded to, ostensibly investigated thoroughly in a whistleblower program. The scant funding, when distributed across the numerous cases reported, translates into a starkly limited amount of time and resources that can be dedicated to each complaint. This reality betrays a system that is structurally predisposed to underperform, where the depth of investigation and the pursuit of justice are constrained not by the merits of the cases, but by budgetary allocations that are woefully insufficient. I believe that there is $100,000 allocated to the program in the current fiscal year, but again, 78 cases for whistleblowers, with one actually substantively investigated. The implications of such a scenario extend beyond the immediate frustrations and injustices faced by whistleblowers. They touch upon the very integrity of the legal system and the trust it engenders among the public it serves. A whistleblower program that is underfunded and, by extension, underperforming does not merely fail those it aims to protect, it undermines the broader principle of accountability that is foundational to the rule of law.
30 seconds.
Thank you very much for your time.
Mr. Hill, thank you for your comments about the whistleblower program and your observations. And I appreciate you bringing that to our attention. Tenny, are there others in the public comment queue?
No, there are no other hands raised.
Okay. We'll move on. The chair's report, really don't have a whole lot to report other than we have a very short agenda. One item is a carryover item that we postponed from our previous finance committee meeting. And so with that, I think we'll just move right into the tasks that are before us today. The first is approval of the minutes of the January 10th, 2024 meeting. Hope members of the committee have had a chance to review the minutes. And if so, would request that somebody move a motion to approve the minutes, please.
I move to approve.
Have a second?
Second.
So I'm not being in the room. I heard Mr. Tony. I'm not sure who seconded.
Buenaventura.
Buenaventura. Thank you, sir. Tinny, will you call the roll, please?
Barahona,
Abstain.
Buenaventura,
Aye.
Good,
Aye.
Huser,
Aye.
Tony,
Aye.
Trejo,
Aye.
Sowell.
Aye.
6 ayes, 0 nays. The minutes are adopted.
Very good. Thank you. The first item is approval of the 2023 quarter 4 financial statements report. And this item will be, and I think all the items are going to be presented by our Chief Financial Officer, Araceli Montoya Chica. Araceli, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. Good morning. Okay, I just have a couple of slides to get through our first item, and this is the 2023 Q4 financial statements, which is the results for the year to date. Oh wait, it's off. Okay, here we go. So starting off, I'll go through the revenues and then I'll follow with the expense categories. Bar-wide, our operating revenues were $431 million. That's almost $100 million above budget. As you can see, most of it is going to be driven by our grants fund, in particular the Legal Services Trust Fund. And then the breakout of the variance is kind of below. So starting off with the general fund, it ended at about $92 million, which is about $3.6 million over budget. And most of that really has been a recurring theme during the year. It's been mostly the higher mandatory fees that we received and other fees. The other fees are primarily the late CTAP fees when we implemented the program. So we earned late fees as a result of that, and that's our other fees. On the Equal Access Fund, this one's barely, slightly above budget, almost $36 million. And that really was mainly due to the admin reimbursements that we get from some of the grants. There was a new contract executed late in Q4, so a lot of the admin reimbursements we were not able to record until that contract was executed. So we were able to record that roughly $700,000 of revenue for the Equal Access Fund, which is one of our grants funds. The grants fund itself is over by budget revenue by just over 21 million, and that's really all primarily due to under the grants funds. There's several grants, one of them being the CARE Court grant. We received funds that we were unaware of at budget adoption, and even when we did the mid-year budget, we did not know we were going to get additional funds. So we had about that $21 million of funds that we received. And you'll see on the expense side, there's also a significant variance in the grants expenses, and it's really because of the CARE Court. So you'll see the pass-through on the expense side. And that accounts really for the grants overage and revenues. Legal Services Trust Fund continues to exceed budget. We're now at about almost 71 million over budget for the Legal Services Trust Fund. And that's really just due to the average daily balances of all the accounts, the IOLTA accounts primarily, and the interest rates that we initially budgeted. So the rates were a lot lower when we budgeted in the account balances, but the actuals have actually been a lot higher, and that's what's driving really all of the variance. And this has been a common theme throughout the year. On the admissions fund, it's over budget on the revenues as well by almost $3 million. And that's really mostly just due to the February and July bar exams. We had more applicants, so that really drove most of the difference in revenues earned for the admissions fund. The Client Security Fund is pretty much at budget, slightly over by $200,000. These other funds, they are over by almost $1 million, and that's primarily due to the Justice Gap Fund. So there's a class action suit settlements when they get settled, they can get donated, and we've received donations, into the Justice Gap Fund. So that really accounted for most of the variance on the revenue side. Now I'm going to move to the expense side. Our overall expenses are $316 million, so we over by almost $25 million over budget. And again, the breakout is listed in my slides here. Starting off with the general fund, we are over budget on expenses by a little bit over $2 million. And that's really due to the equipment expenditures for our elevator and generator projects we were working through. Those were loan funded, so we didn't budget them, but the actuals get recorded, so that's really what's causing most of this overage. And we did have a little bit of savings in our temporary help, so that helped offset the overage, if you will, the actuals in the general fund expenditures. But overall, it was about $2 million. The Equal Access Fund, similarly, it's over expenses by about $700,000. This particular overage was due to the partner AB 145 and the AB 145 filing fee grants. When that particular contract, and these are sub-grants within EAF, very small grants, but when the contract was executed, they were not guaranteed. And this is a Judicial Council contract. Later in Q4, the Judicial Council confirmed with us that the requirements to, I guess, earn those funds were met, and we were able to distribute additional expenditures in Q4, and that was for the Equal Access Grant. On the Grants Fund, same thing. It's over by 20 million, just about $21 million, and that's the same, the CareCore grant that I mentioned on the revenue side. On the expense side, we actually passed through the disbursements to the grantees. On the Legal Services Trust Fund, we're over by about $1 million in expenses, and that's really just due to we had the law student fellowship grant that we did not budget, that we ended up dispersing during the year. So that cost really most of the variance in the Legal Services Trust Fund. The Admissions Fund, as you can see, it's pretty. Yes, it's slightly over budget by almost $500,000, and that's really just due to the Salesforce software maintenance expense. Otherwise, the Admissions Fund ended close to budget. And as you can see, the Client Security Fund and the other funds are pretty much at budget. So that's kind of where we ended the year with our fund expenses for all these funds. And that's it, if anybody has any questions.
Questions from the members of the committee for Araceli? I don't think I see any.
Oh, there's one here.
Okay,
Sorry for you to speak.
Mr. Tony, it is, if folks in the room could just sort of help me.
Yeah, of course. You can't see.
Yeah,
Good.
thank you.
Here's my question, Araceli. We have different funds that you showed us at the beginning. And some of the funds had greater revenue than expenses, but certainly operating had less expenses. Less revenue than expenses, right? We're not able, I think this is really important, because if you look at the entire budget in its entirety, it's like, wow, you guys are running a surplus. What's the problem here?
Yeah.
And I'd like you to speak about the operating fund and our statutory restrictions as to, well, why can't we just take from another fund? I mean, that's what most organizations do. I don't think we can do that, but I think getting clarification from you would be helpful. Thank you.
Okay. I don't have it in my presentation or in the agenda. However, the recently adopted budget showed all of the funds. Really, the general fund is our core operating fund. All of the other funds are primarily either grant-related funds or the Lawyers Assistance Program fund. They're restricted funds. Yeah, they're restricted, right? So the general fund is unrestricted, unrestricted cash that we spend obviously for our core operations. All the other funds are restricted funds for some purpose. Mostly grants, like I said, Lawyers Assistance, Client Security Fund. So we can't just go dip into those reserves or those funds because they're specifically earmarked for specific purposes, activities, so we can't just go and take the money, although, you know, during the year, we did get approval from the legislature to potentially, if the building did not sell, pull some of the reserves from the client security fund and the lawyers assistance program fund. But outside of those, the rest are grant-related funds for the most part, and we unfortunately cannot just take their funds.
Thank you.
Araceli, just to piggyback on that just a little bit, the statute that did authorize us to borrow from other funds this year is our interpretation of that statute that it even though the building has now sold, is that we still have that authority for this fiscal year?
I don't think it was, really, remind me, I don't think it was removed from allowing us to do so. I mean, we got the proceeds, so we don't need to tap into those funds.
I think we have the statutory authority, but I think our view is that it would be counter to the spirit of the legislation for us to access those funds, given that the building sold.
Okay. Other questions from the committee on this item? Araceli, just one more from me. I know in the past we've gotten behind on the quarterly reviews and those sorts of things like that. Or when are we expecting to get the to do I guess Q1 for 2024? When will we be teed up for that?
Q1 2024 will be in May.
Okay.
So I am happy to say last year we were late with presenting these Q4 financials. We didn't do it until May, which is pretty late considering it's towards the end of May. We were barely presenting 2023 financials. But we are on target. So in May, we'll present Q1 and we'll do the mid-year in July, and
Okay.
or November, we do Q3.
Okay, good to know that we're back on track though. Good to know.
Yes.
May I have a motion to approve the 2023 Q4 financial statement? Folks get a chance to review the resolution.
So moved.
Second.
So I think I heard voices. I think that was Board Member Good and then Board Member Tony. Is that correct?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tina, can I get you to call the roll, please?
Yes. Barahona,
Aye.
Bonaventura,
Aye.
Good,
Yes.
Huser,
Aye.
Tony,
Aye.
Trejo.
Aye.
Soel.
Aye.
7 ayes, 0 nays. The motion carries.
All righty. Araceli, I think it's your show today. So next item is approval of the 2023 Q4 investment report.
Yes. So this next item, I don't have a presentation. All the information is in your agenda item. It's just the presentation of our investments that we hold as of the end of the quarter. There's nothing significant for me to call out. We're still following the California investment policy, pretty safe investments, primarily, really mostly government-backed. A lot of our investment income has been due to the very, very favorable investment rates that we're still continuing to earn. Most of them are in the mid-upper 4s to low 5%. And the future investments, as they become mature, I reinvested in. So far, the rates are holding at around 5%. So that's kind of the summary for our investment report. If anybody has any questions.
Questions on the investment report? I don't hear any or see any hands. And so, Tina, would you mind putting the resolution up to approve the investment report? Get a motion to approve the 2023 Q4 investment report?
So moved.
Second.
So, Mr. Buenaventura and then Board Member, who was the second?
Good, although I think it was a tie.
Yeah, I jumped in. It's fine. Either one.
Either way.
We'll go Board Member Trejo. Okay. Tenny, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, Barahona,
Aye.
Bonaventura,
Aye.
Good,
Aye.
Huser,
Aye.
Tony,
Aye.
Trejo,
Aye.
Sowell,
Aye,
7 ayes, 0 nays, the motion carries.
very good. The last item on our agenda is the annual review and approval of the board's investment policy. Araceli, if I'm not mistaken, this was the item that we carried over from the last meeting, correct?
Yes, that's correct. We didn't
Okay.
get a chance to cover it at the January Finance Committee meeting. So I'm bringing it back for approval. So annually, as part of the Finance Committee charter, the Finance Committee reviews our investment policy. I don't have really, and again, I don't have a presentation, but the attachments are in your agenda item, and the policy itself is attached to the agenda. There really isn't too many changes or proposed revisions, if you will, other than one in Section 3, and that's really driven because the California policy also updated the list of, I guess, ineligible investments. They removed the reference to financial futures and options, so these are now allowed under California policy. The State Bar doesn't, we don't invest in financial future and options, but I wanted to call that as the only revision to the investment policy, so it aligns with the California investment policy. And that's the only change to the last investment policy that was approved in January of last year, of 2023. Otherwise, it's pretty, that's all I have for the investment policy. If there are any questions.
Board members, any questions on the investment policy?
I just want to comment really quickly that I think it's good that we're not putting our money in financial futures and options. Derivatives are usually probably a good move to stay out of.
Yes,
Period.
no plan to do so.
Other comments or questions? Araceli, I had one, and that is, I think it's in section 2, number 4, responsible official. And obviously you're the designated as a chief financial officer, as a designated official, but Araceli, I just wonder, in terms of everything that involves our investment policy, do you do that in consultation with the executive officer or anyone, or you just essentially are making the decisions as to where money goes? Just maybe a little bit more clarity on that.
For the purchases, yes, I have consulted with Leah before on certain investments that we have considered purchasing. Otherwise, when our investments purchase, usually 3 to 6 months. If it's the government back, federal home loan notes or U.S. Treasury bills, I just go ahead and make those purchases since they're pretty safe. And right now, just because of everything that went on in the market, that's when I reach out to our Wells Fargo investment consultant who helps me actually execute the purchases. That's kind of what we also discuss. What is the safest? What are the rates? I don't know if that was your question, Arnie. I have consulted with Leah previously, but
Yeah, I just wanted
if the
to,
purchases happen, I reach out to our Wells Fargo investment.
okay. All right. I'm good unless there are others that may have questions. All right, Tenny, would you mind putting the resolution up? And once again, I'd entertain a motion to approve the annual review and approval of the board's investment policy.
So moved.
I heard Mr. Tony.
Seconded. That was a second by Barahona.
All right, thank you so much, board member Barahona. Tenny, will you call the roll?
Yes, Barahona, Bonaventura?
Aye.
Good. Aye. Huser?
Aye.
Aye.
Trejo?
Aye.
Soel?
Aye,
7 ayes, 0 nays, the motion carries.
very good. Unless I'm mistaken, I think that that includes the business of the Finance Committee for today.
That's right. Right on time.
Very good. Thank you, board members. We're adjourned.